Hi Mortgage Heroes, Andy Cruz here in Business Development, and this is your weekly video newsletter, and today we're gonna cruise the news. See what I did there? Alright, so today we're gonna talk about two news stories that came out just this week that we hope are informative for you, and they may or may not impact the current situation you're in. So the first one coming in is 5 million missed rent or mortgage payments in December. Man, that sounds like a lot, except that's not actually the highest it was. Even just months prior, it was higher than that, where there were 6 million missed payments in September. Now, it's reported that roughly 5 million households did not make their rent or mortgage payments in December, and 3.5 million renters and homeowners feel at risk of losing their home. There are some bright spots, however. The 5 million households who missed a payment in December was down from the 6 million in September, like I just mentioned. Now, it's so crazy to think of that number. I mean, if you try to fathom 5 million unpaid payments, that's just backlogging a lot of money owed to landlords, to mortgage companies, to mortgage servicers that collect those payments. That all is going to have to get dealt with at some point. We don't know when that shoe is going to drop and what the outcome is going to be, but we do have some predictions. Now, what is interesting though is, well, what led to people being able to pay in December that weren't in September? Some of that is credited to jobs and people getting more jobs during the holiday. Some of it is credited to people actually using their stimulus money that they had been saving in order to start making their payments again. And some of it is people who just were in forbearance that now got out of forbearance. So that is the reason why you went from 6 million in September to 5 million. And the question then remains is, well, if the remedy to the problem is stimulus money, then are we going to be caught in a stimulus cycle? Right now, that kind of is the only answer that the government seems to have. And without the economy being propped back up and people coming back to work and jobs and employment changing, it looks like that's the only bullet left in the gun, and that's the only one they're shooting. So we're going to have to eventually see a resolution to this that does not include just continuing to pump money in the market. But right now, this is what we got. The other thing is that they're kind of monitoring what the vaccine rollout looks like, because the assumption is that as the vaccine rollout continues and more of the population continues to get vaccinated, then we can open up more businesses, then we can get people back to physical work in their office. But here's an interesting thing, and maybe you're seeing this too. There are pockets of industries where we're noticing around us that they've kind of chosen they don't need to go back to their physical space anymore. They'll just work from home because they're a service company or they're an entity that does not need to see the customer face to face. And so for some people, they're just deciding in their business, yeah, we're just gonna be remote. And if you absolutely have to meet us in person, we'll go to a co-work space where there is work and I can rent an office for a day, or I can rent a conference room for a couple hours. And that's a solution. So we'll have to see how this employment and vaccination thing go hand in hand to hopefully help resolve some of the crunch that we're still feeling. In the second article today, we're going to talk about the FHFA. The FHFA just came out this week to extend the forbearance period to up to 15 months. Now, those of you who've been following this story since last year when the CARES Act got signed, it was we were going to give homeowners up to 12 months of potential forbearance, meaning you can apply for the first 180 days, and then if you need forbearance still, you can get another 180 days for a whole 12-month cycle. That has now been extended to the end of March 31st, 2021. Now, back again, here we are going, well, are we just going to keep kicking the can down the road and moving the goalpost and extending the deadline? Possibly, because we'd have to have some sort of solution beyond just stimulus in order to solve this problem. This not only affects homeowners, this also affects landlords who have tenants that are unable to pay rent, but that landlord has a mortgage for themselves. Also, something that is pretty unknown or not widely known is that the majority of rental properties in the United States are owned by household companies, mom and pops, or smaller businesses that own less than 50 doors, meaning they have less than 50 units. There's only a handful of companies in the country that have over 1,000 and 2,000 units under their management. A lot of these, like a majority of these, are companies that they own 1 to 4, they own 10, maybe they own 20 total rental properties, and that makes up the majority of the rents received for the United States. So the pressure on those owners that also have loans is still really, really great, and that is going to have to get addressed. Continuing to move the goalpost doesn't necessarily solve the problem, it just moves that problem down the road to a later day. So what you see here is the FHFA attempting to try to put a Band-Aid on it for even longer until they can figure out exactly which things are going to be implemented to help bring a solution. And like I said, hopefully with the vaccine and more people coming back to work and getting reemployed again, that will actually ease some of that burden so that the future solution doesn't need to be as great as the one we need now. Alongside its forbearance announcement, the FHFA also released that the enterprises are extending the moratoriums on single-family foreclosures and real estate-owned evictions until March 31st. Really what that means is that if you're already in foreclosure now, they're not going to evict you and kick you out. And if you are in a threatening position of being evicted, you're not going to be kicked out. So we'll have to come back in March and see if they are going to hold to that date firm or if they're going to move that goalpost once again. Now, both of those seem a little bit negative, to be honest, but let's talk about a couple opportunities. If you're watching this video and you own your home and you have equity in your home, there's a couple of options for you to take right now that will help you for what's coming ahead. Number one, you can do a rate and term refinance. I know we talked about this a lot before, but with rates still at historical lows, if you're not considering a rate and term refinance now, you have to ask yourself, when are you going to consider it? Because I think we're bottoming out. We always only see lower rates from the rearview mirror. And I think we're starting to see some of that rearview mirror right now, and I think that bottoming out has happened. The next thing is doing cash out or debt consolidation. This is when, of course, you use some of your home equity to take cash and put it in your savings, take cash and pay off some of your consumer debt. That could be your car loan, student loan, other consumer spending accounts, where you're reducing the amount of money you're paying every single month out of your pocket and you're putting into your mortgage. Now, there's a lot of different opinions on how to do this and what's the right way to do that. Of course, there's potentially some tax consequences, which you'll have to talk to your own person about. But the idea is that if you're in a season right now where you're employed, you're gainfully employed, and you are confident that it'll continue, or maybe you're not confident it'll continue, but you can refinance now, that is something you need to take a look at. The other side of all these negative aspects I'm talking to you about today, with evictions, foreclosures, forbearances, people unable to pay by the millions, the other side of that is that sometime in the future, the other shoe is going to drop. And when that other shoe drops, we're going to have a lot of inventory that comes in the market. So if you're watching this and you're one of our clients that has multiple properties already, or maybe you're a client of ours and you are an aspiring landlord, meaning you want to own investment properties as part of your retirement portfolio or your investment portfolio, and you want to buy that second, third, fourth, fifth home down the line, start getting ready now. This is going to be the time where, as other people are dealing with the issues at hand with their own finances, their own employment, and their own living situation, that if you can get ready now, in maybe 12, 18, 24 months, you could be the person to come in and acquire a property that could be a rental in this time of need for people who are going to need it. So if you want to try to match a financial interest you've had with the needs of the marketplace, this is a great time to start preparing for that, because I think what we're going to see in the next year to 2 years is we're going to see some of these properties eventually hit the market, and they're going to need to be bought up and managed well so that people can have continuity in housing. And you might even be buying a house that someone else used to own, and that person that owned it now has to become a renter. They're going to have to go look for a place to rent, and they're going to need someone who's on their stable feet financially to be the owner of that property, be the landlord, and own that place so that they can house their family for whatever's coming next for them. So those are a couple opportunities I wanted to talk to you about today. Thank you for cruising the news with me. If you have any questions that we can help you with this week, of course, you can always call us. You can send an email. Let us know if this was helpful, of course. And if you feel inclined to share this with a friend or family member, or maybe someone you work with, maybe this information that we're sharing today can help them in whatever their pursuits are when it comes to real estate and mortgage financing. And of course, as it leads to homeownership, and then in the future when you're investing as an investor in real estate, we want to be able to be a resource for you continually, not just in this one season. So thank you so much for watching this week. Thank you for sharing, and we'll see you again next week.